with San Francisco to get Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Mahomes is just floating in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it all the time. You see it on a consistent basis. And again, it goes to me, you're pandering to the desire for everybody to find a quarterback. And
you don't want to be viewed as the one that passed on a quarterback that maybe does work out.
Correct.
Then you look bad.
Yeah.
So in this way, hey, we picked him.
Right. Hey, listen.
What he wants to do.
Right.
We picked him.
I mean, you look at the 2018 draft. I mean, you got Baker Mayfield on his fourth team. You always say, don't tell me in Cleveland Baker Mayfield was a hit because he signed in Tampa 4 teams later. You got Sam Darnold. You've got Rosen. Like all the and it's really, it's really Allen is the only one that actually, if that class that you could look at and say this was great. And don't give me the Baltimore Ravens jump back into the first round to pick up Lamar, who's won 2 MVPs at 32. Like that's not in that same category as those guys that got drafted high.
What do you do? I mean, you're looking at this. We're trying to have a conversation about this. You got fans out there who are like, okay, guys, I hear what you're saying, but our team needs a quarterback, and the quarterback's important. And there's this prospect out there because the alternative is you encourage your team, you root for your team to pass on the risk of the quarterback and just go get a really good football player,
right,
and build your football team.
Yeah,
even though you still have this hole at quarterback. My question to fans would be, are you willing to go that way? Are you willing to be patient? Or are you worried that we're going to miss out on the next big thing?
Yeah, I think that fear of missing out, that what do they call that, FOMO? The fear of missing out is, a major motivating factor when it comes to the draft, not only with the fan base, but with organizations. That they feel like, organizations always feel like they can take a guy that's got a bunch of question marks, but we can fix him. And I think if you ask any player that played any significant time in the National Football League, they'll all tell you, no, you can't. I mean, how many reclamation projects, how many guys that were failures in multiple organizations actually all of a sudden became that guy? Rich Gannon. Rich will tell you, we got to have Rich on. Rich will tell you right now, man, I stunk early. But then at some point, late in his career too, by the way, he figured it out and became an NFL MVP. I mean, he was phenomenal. He had an unbelievable 4 or 5 year run with started in Kansas City as a backup to Elvis Grbac. He got in because Grbac got hurt and really played exceptionally well. And we beat him in the playoffs when I was with Denver, and they went back to Grbac.
Yep.
And we were like, behind closed doors, we were like, good, because Gannon's a better quarterback. And then he went to the Raiders, and that's where he had all that success under John Gruden, and it was, it was phenomenal. But beyond that, I mean, Baker has a chance to do that, but there's very few guys. There's very few of those reclamation projects that really worked out.
So for the idea that you got to swing, right? You got to take the gamble,
right?
Because the quarterback's just too important. I guess I would understand that if you continue to live by that philosophy as a franchise. Like take 2 of the teams that are drafting up high right now. You got Arizona and you got the Giants. Okay? So those are 2 teams, those are 2 franchises that went for it, right? They swung for the fences with Kyler Murray and with Daniel Jones. Why 3 years later, why do you lose sense of that mentality?
Right.
Why don't you look at it and say, well, we have those guys, but we're not really sure yet, so let's swing for the fences again. If I'm Arizona, I'd draft a quarterback again.
Yeah.
If I'm the Giants, I'd draft a quarterback again.
Correct.
Because you can't all of a sudden take this swing for the fences mentality and then backpedal and say, now we got to be patient with the guy we drafted. Why?
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of hurting Kyler Murray or Daniel Jones's feelings?
Right.
Well, tough.
Yeah.
Too bad.
That's one of the things I've never understood about the quarterback position, where there's competition at every other position.
Right.
And you're always fighting for your job, but we can't do that with our precious quarterback
Right.
because he can't handle it. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand that mentality.
Guess what, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones? We spent a high draft pick on you. We're not giving up on you completely, but we're not sold on you either. And there's a couple more quarterbacks that we might like to take a swing at. Let's do it.
I'm telling you, I have so much more respect for the 49ers in that they looked at their quarterback that they traded up for from 12 to 3, and they looked at Trey Lance and said, you know what? We screwed up. We made a mistake. And they didn't try to force feed him and keep, nurturing him and everything else, and then paid a big contract to him after 3 years. They just dumped his ass and said, hey, chalk that one up as a valuable learning lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect that. Like, there is no way, if you're the New York Giants, there is no way. And you could sit there and say, well, our offensive line hasn't been very good, and this hasn't been very good, and our receivers can't stay healthy, and da-da-da-da. And we made, we drafted the kid, what's the kid's name? Tony, that keeps dropping balls in San Francisco now, or in Kansas City now?
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney. We drafted him, and it didn't work out, and this, that. No. You know what? Don't. Listen, he didn't work out here. We're moving on. And we're drafting a quarterback. And I'm 100% with you. Instead of, like, the thing I would say to Arizona and to the New York Giants is make the decision earlier. Like, listen, man, if there wasn't market improvement along the way to the point where this guy was winning early, the odds of him winning late because you paid him are even less when he's got that much more pressure on him.
Yep.
So move on.
You ready for Stink's mailbag?
Yeah.
Let's get
absolutely.
some questions, all right?
All right.
All right, this one comes in from Chuck in Plano, who wants to know, Mark, can you explain what the Cowboys are, or in this case, are not doing in free agency? I'm seeing a lot more subtractions than additions when it comes to the Cowboys.
Well, like the Cowboys are a good football team. They're a good – now, one, don't overvalue your running backs, right? They get hurt. They get banged up. It's just the nature of the position, so let's not overvalue them. Like, tell me the last team that you can remember that won free agency that actually was worth a shit during the regular season.
Right.
So this may be an addition by subtraction deal. Like, we're not going to spend a bunch of money. We're not going to spend A+ money on B- players to bring them into this organization. We like what we got, and we're just going to focus on the guys we got. I'm not mad at that kind of philosophy as an organization. So I'm not going to sit there and look at the Dallas Cowboys and go, boy, they've really screwed up. Now, for me,
yeah, if anybody would love to take a gratuitous shot at the Cowboys, it's you.
It is easy for me to pile on the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
But I kind of agree with the philosophy. Most of the time, when you spend big-time money on free agents, you usually, more often than not, those free agents don't really pan out the way you hoped or anticipated they would.
All right, this one comes in from Paulie, who says he's a Chargers fan and wants to know what they're doing at wide receiver. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, both gone.
Yeah, I mean, they draft, 5 overall?
Yep.
So, you think about it. Especially if Minnesota makes a move up to 4, you're going to, because there's quarterbacks coming off the board all over the place. At 5, you're going to have your choice. You could obviously go for Marvin Harrison Jr., which everybody says is the best receiver in the college draft, or you could go for Bowers, the tight end. Yep. That would be a Jim Harbaugh move,
Harbaugh
right?
strike you as more of a wide receiver or tight end guy?
More of a tight end guy.
Exactly.
Because he wants to play in multiple backs, multiple tight ends. He wants to have those kind of heavy personnel guys. So, yeah, I could totally see that happening.
This one comes in. Mark, who's to blame if the Broncos get stuck with Sparky? That being Jarrett Stidham. The whole idea. Let me give you a little background. So when Sean Payton benched Russell Wilson, went to Jarrett Stidham, it was with the idea that Stidham would give the offense a spark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of stuck with Stidham, and he's now known as, derisively so, as Sparky. So what happens if the Broncos are stuck with Sparky?
Listen, the Broncos did something that they needed to do 8 years ago, and that was to admit that they're not very good. And so I for one, don't believe that they're going to put together the draft capital to move up to go chase a quarterback. I don't believe they're going to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if 12 came along and they just took the best football player available, not being a quarterback. And I wouldn't be surprised if 12 became available and they moved back and they accumulated, a first rounder and a second rounder. That wouldn't surprise me at all or shock me at all either. So I think that if there was a quarterback they loved, and he was available at 12, they'd take him. But I don't think they're going to try to package. You could move up to 8 so from 12 to 8 would require, if you look at the draft, the draft numbers, like the value charts of the draft, you could go number 12 and couple that with I think it's pick 76 is the next pick they have, which is third round. And so the value chart, if you look at the value chart, number 8 is worth 1,400 points. Number 12 is worth 1,200 points. Okay. So you're minus 200. Well, 76, I believe where they pick next is, I think, a 210-point value. So you could theoretically go, okay, we'll go from 12 to 8, and we'll give you our 76th pick as well, and then try to go.
Really, that's an equal on the value chart? Because at first blush, if I'm the team holding the 8th pick, I'm like, I need more than that.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what the value chart says, but I don't know that. But I don't know that anybody adheres to the value chart. Like, that's the value chart. I looked at it this morning. So that's the value chart. But with that said, here's the other thing. What if the Raiders want to come up?
Right. Or the Vikings.
What if somebody else wants to come up? So now then it gets all, it's a supply and demand deal, right?
Yeah, right.
So I don't know that you're ever going to be able to make that move.
One more question. This is a fun one.
Okay.
Mark, who is the hardest guy for you to run block against? Not pass block,
right?
Run block.
The guy, honestly, who gave me fits, because I was always able, I was a really, take guys off the ball. I was really good. That was really one of my fortes, is being able to get movement off the line of scrimmage. And the one dude that gave me fits was John Perella.
Chargers, yeah.
Started off in Buffalo, and then got moved over to the Chargers, and he was just so stout. It was like a fire hydrant trying to hit a fire hydrant. And I think he's now, he was a Nebraska guy, so he's corn fed and
country strong.
Yeah, he was country strong. So John Perella, it's always funny because people ask you what you do when you see the schedule release. And everybody goes, well, you look for the key games. We always go, we're always like, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, that's a loss,
that's
a
loss.
Right.
Because we do that, and it's
no.
Oh,
I'm saying as fans, as fans do it.
Players, you don't do it.
No, we look at where's my bye week.
You're right.
Where's my bye week? And who's my matchup that individually gives me fits?
Okay.
And so I look for bye week, and then the next thing I will look at, where do I line up against the Chargers twice? Because Perella was just that. Now he's not gonna wow you with pass rush or anything like that. But man, we literally got to the point with him and Junior Seau, and then Jamal Williams. That dude, I knew that dude was tougher than me. When as a rookie he lined up, it had no tape on his fingers. I was like, some bitches, that dude's an animal. Right? I mean, my hands were all crooked and broken, and he had nothing. No tape on his wrist, no gloves, no tape on his fingers. I was like, ooh, what the Like, who is this guy?
Who's this freak?
I was like, that guy's way tougher than I am. So those two guys, we got to the point when we played the Chargers, because the Chargers were awful. Like, offensively, they were awful. Defensively, Perella, Jamal Williams. They had Rayshon Johnson. They had Junior Seau, Kirk Gavea, my former teammate with Washington. They had Rodney Harrison. Like, they were stout, man. They were really stout. And yeah, so those are the guys that I would look at and be like, ugh. We got to the point playing them, like, we ran the ball against everybody, right? We wide zone. We ran one running play. Like, we got to the point where we're just like, screw it, we can't do it. We ran Fox 2 run. It's like a delayed draw. You know, it was just like, all right, here we go.
Elway, you're gonna have to win this one.
Yeah, it was just one of those deals. Thankfully, they were not a great pass rushing team, and thankfully, like for us, is that, you know, our receivers Rod Smith and McCaffrey would win, and you know, we'd always beat them like. It would be always like a 24-17 or 24-7 win, right? It was like, you know, theoretically on paper it looked like a blowout, and it was always the toughest game we had as an offense.
As you like to say, an all-day sucker.
Yeah, it was the toughest game we had every single time as an offense. And it would always be a 27-7. You know, and you'd be like, "Wow, that was easy." No, actually, it wasn't. It was
guys with no tape on their fingers. Are you kidding me?
An absolute bitch, you know. But
good.
anyhow, that's how it worked. All right, buddy. Hey, for everybody involved with the Stinkin Truth podcast, thank you so much for being part of it and making part of us part of your day. Appreciate you guys. Make sure that you subscribe. Please subscribe and hit the like button. Throw us a question or whatever. We'll try to answer that. For everybody involved, we'll get back at you guys later on in the week. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinky Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.